Do you like reading books? Maybe you do, and maybe you don't. Not a lot of folks find any pleasure in reading. However, any good business person should read at least one book a week. This is so important, and today I'm going to tell you what you should read and why, especially if you're trying to develop the business mindset. If you intend to start a business or make moves towards expansion, you need to read. Your knowledge will determine your chances of success. The more actionable knowledge you have, the better decisions you will make. Better decisions means handling issues better, which results in success. The books that I'm about to talk about are both classics and newer books that many haven't read yet. I've personally read each and every single one of them, so I can guarantee you that you'll learn something from them. The best that you can get is a better mindset, a new you, and a new way of thinking. The reason why you should read, or listen to the audiobook version instead of reading summaries on the net, is simply because summaries don't have the same life-changing impact that books have. If you read something, reread it, and learn a lot of examples, you're going to imprint the concept in your mind properly. The thing is, these books contain a lot of unconventional wisdom. By applying the advice in these books, you're going to automatically be considered quote-unquote different or weird. If you're comfortable with this, you're starting on the right foot. Book 1, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is a classic, and I just can't stop talking about it. I know everyone's already told you to read this book, so I'll keep it short. But if you haven't, trust me, you want to read this one. The amount of wisdom that you're going to get from Robert Kiyosaki in this book is really impressive. The best lessons in the book are the following. The rich don't work for money. As crazy as it sounds, they don't. They have money work for them. This is the concept of investing. You make money, you put it into something that you think will have a return, and you wait for the money to do its magic. This is the case of stock market investing, both capital gain and dividends. Just to give you more perspective on this, I'm going to explain the two briefly. As you probably already know, the stock market is basically a huge market where shares or stocks of a company are sold and bought on a daily basis. Stocks have floating prices that go up and down every day. By buying a stock and waiting for its price to go up, you can make a profit. For example, if you buy Tesla stocks when they're worth $10 and then sell them when they're worth $15, you're going to make a $5 profit per stock, which is actually pretty good. This is called a capital gain. Then there are dividends, which are very different. Instead of buying to sell, you buy to keep. The thing is, when purchasing a stock, you become a member of that company. You literally own part of that company, which is bigger or smaller based on how many stocks you purchased. The company's going to give back a part of their profits to you, since you're an investor in the business, and that's basically free money. See how money starts working for you in this position? You put your money into something with potential, and you wait for it to generate results. In real life, it obviously isn't as easy as it sounds, but that's the basic concept. Rich people focus on assets. Poor people focus on liabilities. The difference between assets and liabilities is very simple. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. For example, most cars are liabilities, since they go down in value very quickly and cost money to maintain. Stocks, on the other hand, are assets because they put money in your pocket. The principle, again, is simple in theory, but still, so many people mistake liabilities for assets and vice versa. For example, most people will agree that a home is a huge investment, a huge asset, but that's not the case for most people. Sometimes, it's not even better than renting in the long run, and in 2021, it simply isn't an investment if you're not going to sell it. A house is expensive to maintain, expensive to buy, and very expensive to keep, in value in many cases. Book 2, Your Next 5 Moves. This book actually came out last year in 2020. I was honestly pretty excited about it. It did not disappoint me. You might actually already know the author. His name is Patrick Bet-David, founder of the YouTube channel Valuetainment. While the book we just talked about is focused on mindset and changing your way of thinking, this one is focused on 3 things: clarity, strategy, problem solving. Clarity. You're never going to achieve success if you don't define what success looks like for you. You have to know where you're going and what you want from life. Especially if you're young, you're probably still looking to find your passion and decide what to do with your life. Don't feel lost. You have all the time in the world to define what you want, and this book will actually help you a lot. It simply gives you a perspective on the choices that you have in business without necessarily going for entrepreneurship. There are many alternatives, and the book will help you find your true self. Strategy. The book talks a lot about strategic thinking. thinking ahead and figuring out your next moves before the time comes. Business is basically war. You're going to fail and succeed on a daily basis. You either win or lose battles. It's just the way it is. To increase success and minimize risk as much as possible, you need a strategy. And if you learn to think like a grandmaster entrepreneur, you learn how to reduce failure and increase success. Problem solving. This is probably one of the most important skills that anyone can develop, and I'm honestly surprised and very disappointed that this isn't a subject properly taught in schools. Problem solving is the capacity to process issues rationally and figure out solutions without rushing to conclusions or using your emotions to drive your decision-making. In other words, you don't let emotions take control. Whenever you're in a stressful situation, you think rationally, and you get out of trouble with strategy, not impulsive actions. Book 3. Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill wrote this book, and it's been a huge success. It's adored by everyone, and its lessons permeate business. Think and Grow Rich is one of the best books on positive thinking and developing a winning mindset for a better life and achieving more goals. Napoleon Hill talks a lot about principles like thinking properly, excluding negativity from your life, and so on. But one of the most important lessons is the ones on failure. Failure isn't failure. This is the scary monster that stops most people from taking risks in business and in life. Obviously, where there's risk, there's a reward, so no risk means no rewards. Still, most people are so afraid that things will go wrong that they decide not to try altogether. The problem with this is that sooner or later, you're going to wish you would have taken risks. You definitely don't want to get to a certain point in life and say, I could have done this, or I should have tried that. The best way to stop the fear of failure is to stop thinking of it as the opposite of success. Instead, you need to understand that failure is part of success. It's one of the requirements of success. There's no successful entrepreneur that hasn't failed. Look at Elon Musk, for example, who almost went bankrupt back in 2008 and is now extremely successful. And he's still blowing up rockets from time to time, but he keeps going. People like Musk don't look at failures as failures, they just see it as testing. When you have a successful business, you test ads, you test spaceships, you test strategies. If they don't work, you just learned what you shouldn't do, and now you're one step closer to finding the strategy that will actually work. In Thomas Edison's famous words, "I've not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." The point is, don't dwell too much on the failures, but instead focus on not repeating your mistakes and you're good to go. As they say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Just like how COVID has eroded many industries and put many out of business, it's not their fault. But if another pandemic comes in the next few years, they must be prepared for it, or they will suffer the consequences, and they really have no excuse. Book 4. Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. This is not specifically a business book, but it has a lot to do with business. You see, in business, you need to know how to sell. And it doesn't really matter if you're going to actually sell one-on-one to prospects and clients. There are other situations where sales skills are a must. For example, you might negotiate prices and deals. You might even need to sell yourself or sell ideas. Sales is a fundamental part of business, and it does make the difference between success and failures. You'll have to deal with a lot of people, and having the key principles well developed will save you time and money. One of the best lessons from this one is reciprocity. This is the first persuasion strategy described by Cialdini, and it's very common these days. Basically, it takes advantage of our natural inclination towards returning favors. The reason why I call it natural is because we've developed this habit in thousands and thousands of years of evolution. This means that if someone does you a favor, you're going to feel in debt to that person, and innately, you'll want to return the favor. This is why doing something for someone increases the possibility of them agreeing to your request later on. This is an automatic response, and it's almost unconscious. People don't realize that this strategy is being used, and often they don't even remember what favor they've done for you in the past. Another interesting subject is scarcity, which is very common in sales and marketing. It's the case of quote-unquote limited supply marketing strategies, which generates more urgency to purchase something if it's limited in supply or if the supply is almost finished. People tend to believe that if something is rarely available, it's more valuable. This is the case for objects, but also people. For example, a woman is more likely to be attracted to a man with a lot of women running after him than to a lonely man. And that's it. I think many of you actually read some of these books, since they really are the best out there. Let us know in the comments if you've read them and what your thoughts are. Also, now you need to watch this, 8 Powerful Lessons from the Art of War by Sun Tzu. And this, 5 Steps you should use to get a promotion. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one.